Xpeng is losing money and they might go bankrupt. Are you concerned about that? I've been rewatching my previous videos, and the more I watched, the more those less favorite EV grew on me. Like this one. Welcome to the new episode of Owner's Words. This is the owner. And this is the ride. This is a 580 Max version from 2023 with a battery of 66 kilowatt hour. Well, if you watch EV videos, you would know that's not actually a very generous offer. But that being said, is that 580 kilometers real?
其实它 WLTC 续航其实只有470，这个天气跑的话470是差不多的。如果到夏天的话可能会高一点，会到500左右。然后冬天的话，如果再冷一点，开空调的话，估计有450左右。
So that would be over 80%.
对。
Well, that's a very good one actually. So how often do you drive? Usually, like on a daily basis, and how often do you charge?
我每天上下班来回的话40公里，基本上一周的话，可能加上其他行程的话，可能会开个300多公里左右。然后我基本上是每周充一次电。对。
Okay, once a week. That's a good one. Do you feel short of range sometimes?
我没有这么觉得，因为我其实我的用车场景很简单，就是日常代步，然后我出去玩的时间其实不多。
Is this car for your family or just for yourself?
我自己用的多。
自己用的多。
对。
Is this the only car in your family?
不是。
不是。
对。
Oh, that makes sense. And are you concerned about the battery aging?
不会，我没有担心过。
Really?
对，从来没担心过，因为我觉得车这个东西开个4、5年，它衰减80%、90%，然后其实对于我来说的话影响不大。
Okay, so we don't know yet. We will see. But Xpeng was never known as one of the best in terms of efficient. But it's never been costly. How much did you pay for this car?
我当时买这个车其实挺冤种的，当时它原价22.999，我买了1周它就降了1万。然后买了差不多1个月，它就降了2万。
Oh, really?
对。
So, how do you feel at that time?
我当时心都在滴血啊。
一个月白干。
对，一个月。
Were you looking at some other models comparing to this one?
有，其实我当时看车的时候，把国产的主流的电车都试了一遍。然后的话，我比较中意的话，其实有阿维塔11，智己S6，关注一下 PTI。
What made this one stand out?
一开始的话，我是希望从油车的角度来看，因为我之前都开油车的，我希望一个比较舒适的，动力比较足的。然后，但是我看了这么多车之后，我发现其实电车的动力都不太需要担心。然后舒适性的话，其实我觉得相比我之前的油车，其实都好得很多。看一些自媒体啊，就发现还有什么800伏支架。
新科技很多。
对，智能化。然后综合比较下来的话，它也用了那个前后的一体式压铸嘛，所以说最后的话就选了这辆车。
Okay, guys. Just like what we had in our last review of this car, it has a lot to offer really in the cabin, and that works here with the owner here. I just can't help but wondering, just words on the street that Xpeng is losing money and they might go bankrupt. Are you concerned about that?
刚买的时候是那种一腔热血，其实没有怎么担心，但是买了之后还是有担心过，因为当时的话小鹏的销量不是很好，就每个月的销量就1万出头，或者有时候甚至1万都没有。对，当时是有担心过的。现在的话，现在就卖得很好，这些车就不怎么担心了。现在 P7+，然后莫拉03都卖得挺好的。对，现在感觉就好多了，我觉得我选对了。
Yeah, Xpeng has been making the right choices recently, especially for the past few months. Yeah, let's drive. Well, this car, it has a lot merits that really got me. The nice leather and color, heated wheel.
你好，小 P，
请吩咐。
打开方向盘加热。
方向盘加热打开了。
18 speakers and the noise cancelling glasses that secure the sound quality. What are the 3 features that you like most?
一个我觉得它那个 SR 界面感觉非常的炫。第二点的话，我觉得这个车的话比较大，就是坐的话不会觉得拘谨，因为它的那个后备箱的话，非常的大。
Yeah, I mentioned that last time I reviewed this car. I really love that back trunk. It's got a lot of spaces. Maybe one of the biggest in this price point.
然后第3点的话，买这个车最重要的就是看中它的那个支架嘛。对其实我觉得现在的小鹏的支架做的还是不错，基本上在城区的话，在有人看管的情况下，还是能比较安全的行驶。
What's the least favorite 3 features?
语音识别的话，可能和其他的一些比较主流的国产的那个新能源厂商的话，我觉得要差一点。可能我觉得它的反应没这么迅速。其次的话，我觉得这个车缺一个 HUD， 对我来说 HUD 的话，其实还是挺实用的一个功能。第3点的话，我觉得之前小鹏的话是主打就是以车为家的概念嘛，整个前排可以放倒，然后后排可以连成一个床。但对于我来说的话，其实用处不是很大，太麻烦了。而且其实后面我自己身高的话有1.8左右嘛，整个人伸展不开。
Just in terms of the comfort, out of 0 to 10, how would you rate this car?
7.5吧。
Wow, that's a good point. 它主要是扣分扣在哪里？
第一个的话，我觉得它内饰的话还是比较对我来说有点简陋了，特别是它的那个氛围灯，你可以基本上可以忽略，相当于没有。隔音的话，那你上高速的话，它其实风噪啊、胎噪还是比较明显的。然后它的整个音响的话，我觉得也只能算是比较普通。然后第3点的话，就是过那种颠簸路段的时候，可能会车整个会有比较晃。弹跳跃的感觉。
So what about the passengers? How do they say about this car? What's the nicest and the worst thing they say about this car?
最好一点的话就是乘客都会觉得它很大，对，然后整个头顶啊，然后腿部的空间都够用，他们觉得这个整个座椅的话还是蛮舒适的。不太好的评价的话，就主要是在过一些比较颠簸的路段的时候，会觉得很陡。像我外婆坐我这个车的话，之前坐我油车的话，她不会有晕车的情况，但是她坐的话就会觉得比较晕，就觉得这个车晃来晃去的。
Well, I think they are making progress here. Well, I used to be pretty judgmental about the weight that goes over my anticipation, but for now, I get over that, especially for a family SUV. This car has 296 horsepower, 0 to 100 in 6.6 seconds, and a top speed over 200 kilometers per hour, with a body weight of 2 tons. How do you think about this power working for you?
自己的话对动力的要求不是很高，反正在我的平常使用来看的话，我一般都开的都不是它的标准模式，我开的是舒适模式。
Like I said, this power and because everything has to come together, like the power and the suspension. Like this one is an appropriate setting. I think it's not super fast because it has a comfort-oriented setting on the chassis and on the suspension, or the whole cabin or the seats. So I think this power, the 300 horsepower, is it's pretty enough for this car. So here's the last part and maybe the harsh part. We have some clips of some issues that's been repeatedly brought up by some other owners, and you may have it or you may not have it. We'll see, okay? So the first one is a noise issue. We've seen noise issues before, but this one is really a little bit different.
噪音就开始，有没有遇到这种情况的？
没遇到过。
Well, this kind of this buzzing. Well, I think it's really annoying for someone who is very conscious about sound or voice or noises.
No.
It sounds dangerous. So let's move on. The next one is a power failure, and it happens multiple times on different cars. So
我运气比较好，
this is a battery issue.
没遇到过。它是什么版本的？我这个版本是个磷酸铁锂电池的，700多公里那个，都是3元锂电池的。
Oh, 它这个是700。
700它是3元锂的。
And the last one, this one has a lot. This one will impact your driving experiences. And actually, this happens on gas cars. You'll see.
也没遇到过。
This kind of off-center steering wheel problem, they also happens in gas cars, but that usually is a result of bad alignment of the tires. But overall, you are a lucky man. You don't have any of those issues. But hopefully, we don't have any of that later. OK，
我其实遇到过一些小问题，但都是在软件上的。它有时候联网，就会没网了，突然。对，然后当时的话去找那个售后解决的话，说让我重启一下车机就好了。然后有遇到过一次比较危险的情况，也是在高速上自动驾驶嘛，突然它就降级到 ACC， 相当于如果你不手动干预的话，它是不会跟着变道的嘛，就会撞上其他的车。当时比较危险，当时还好精神比较专注，给接管了。
Well, there's an old saying that you get what you pay for. I know that a lot of your pay just goes to all those functions, but I don't think that should come at the expense of quality control. Well, who am I to judge? I'm riding this car for free today, and yeah, I'm gonna spend more time with this. Well, I think it's just time for us to conclude this video and conclude your feelings about this car. How do you feel about this car?
我觉得这个车的话属于一个非常经济实惠的车型吧。然后对于像我这种做程序员工作的来说的话，它的智能化呀，然后自驾呀，然后这些自动泊车啊，都非常符合我的胃口。然后我也喜欢去体验这种比较新的科技嘛。
So, do you have any advice for our audience or for Xpeng the maker?
大家可以多去尝试一下小鹏这款车，因为小鹏的话，的确它是一个做技术的一个公司，可能在其他方面还有一些不足的地方，我觉得它以后会慢慢改善的。对。
Yeah, I think we have a lot today, and we have a very nice ride. And thank you so much for sharing, and that means a lot to me. And yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. There's a lot of cars coming in this year, so stay close, stay tuned. We'll see you soon.